So this is it's not like it's a new article in any way, shape, or form, but this is a concept that's really important that everybody get. Okay, this is a concept important, and if you want to look up these articles later and read them yourself, please do. There's one on entrepreneur.com, there's one on Forbes.com, and then I went to dummies.com, and then if you really want to, you can go to wikipedia.com. Ultimately, that understand one of the things, and here's my entire point with referencing these three articles, um because you guys teach me things when I talk to you. When you are being inefficient, you obviously, to grow your business, to systematize it, to run it, we have right now we have 27 locations that we run, which is wonderful, yay. But we wouldn't be able to do that unless we were being efficient with all of our resources. Inefficiency, doing something like by force and making it happen, costs you 20 to 30% of your revenue. Or said another way, you're either spending 20 to 30% more in your expenses or earning 20 to 30% less than what you could, or some combination thereabouts. This is the equivalent of, and again, I'll use a very simple analogy because this is how it was kind of taught to me. Like if you were working in a country or city that needed water, you could go and hire a whole bunch of people to carry buckets from the city to the water and form that train and have a system that's going. And the city would now have some water, and that would be great. And for a time, because you got water to market back to the city quickly, you would do well. You would earn money. The challenge is when you think that that's the way it needs to be done, and then when you go, hey, we need to get more water to the city, what you do is you add more people, you increase deliveries, your delivery area, you add more people, but you keep that process, keywords, the same. And that's an inefficient process. At the same time, someone else hears the same thing, city needs more water. And they'll take a year, maybe two, to organize resources, and then they come back to the city and they decide to build a pipeline from the city to the lake. And now their first day in operation, because they've spent so much up front in infrastructure, etc., you're still winning. But in order to keep up, you're going to have to keep hiring more people, and your overhead is higher, but you're still delivering water, and that's good. But over time, what happens is that they start adding a second pipeline, and then a third, and then a fourth. And then because they're using less people, they have less HR issues. The people who are working for them are happier. They're able to pay higher wages. And then all of a sudden, the people who used to work for you are hanging out, or the people who work for you are hanging out at the bar or the bowling alley with the people who now work for the pipeline. And the pipeline people look really happy, and the people on the side are upset, and they start talking, and they realize that, wow, if you work for the pipeline people, I can make more money, less hours, working conditions are better. And it's simply because it's well, you have a better system. Here's my point. And this happens in every industry all the time. It's happening to the hotels. This is literally why we have the opportunity. Hotels, taxis, drive-through, all of these industries are undergoing this very thing. A more efficient way was developed to get people who have places to stay in contact with the people who needed a place to stay. And we call those places right now, those marketplaces anyway, Airbnb, Booking.com, or well, specifically Airbnb, because they were the ones who finally put the technology together to make it as simple as it is. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay? That's what happened. Okay? At the end of the day, that's what happened. Now, what it really comes down to is we have to be careful not to do that. Because see, when you have when you have a large profit margin, you can get away with being inefficient. When you have a smaller operation, you can get away with being inefficient. When you keep your operation really close to you, you can get away with being inefficient. However, every one of you, every one of us, myself, everybody, you must be aware of where you're being inefficient, because that's an opportunity for someone else to come in, be more efficient, and literally take your customer and or business and or whatever. And now you've got to compete, and that's fine. Competition is great. But it's just a warning. Right now, you don't have to be good. You have to be present. That applies to us, okay? Because the demand is so high. You don't have to be good. You have to be present. Over time, what's going to happen is that the most efficient of us, we're going to be the ones that win. And when I say efficient, I mean, are you able to respond 24 hours a day within 7 minutes or less to your guests? Do you have that capacity or not? If you don't have that capacity, it doesn't mean you need that capacity right now. And I know it's because I know what some of you are saying. I've never had to. It's fine. Got it. However, I'm also telling you, if you can't, you will eventually be superseded by someone who can. Are you able to dynamically adjust your pricing? Are you able to consistently? Here's an easy one. Do you have a systematic way of re-inviting people who have stayed with you to come back and book directly with you for a lower price than they would be able to find on one of the platforms? And even though they're booking at a lower price, you make more profit. If you don't have those types of things as efficiencies, all I'm saying is that as you continue to grow and expand, you will be replaced by someone who is more efficient in communications and operations. And here's the rub, because it feels like, oh man, I don't want to spend any money on that. I don't want to focus on that. I don't need to focus on that. I'm still making. That's true, and it's true. But this is that whole concept around being disrupted. I'm bringing this up because I've had a number of conversations with a number of you, and I read a lot of those applications. And when I'm reading those applications, what I kept getting smack dab hit in the face with is, why are you doing it that way? Like, why? And oftentimes, the number one response, well, it was less money to get started. Yes, that's true. However, if you intend on building a business, remember, just like the guy who's building that pipeline built money, he invested money into the infrastructure. But the other person just said, hey, I'll get a whole bunch of people and just start carrying water back and forth. It was less money for them to get started. All they needed was buckets and people. But over time, they get replaced by the person or company that builds the pipeline. And that's really what I want to drive home for you guys today. It's not that I'm unaware that, it's not that I'm unaware of the other things that you guys find. All right. It's not that we, as the Cashflow Diary community, haven't tested a lot of the other things that you find. My goal, and this is how I see our role, is to make you guys the biggest, baddest entrepreneurs possible. To make sure that all of you who desire and are willing to do so can do 7 figures or more. It's not like, ooh, I'm hoping one day to create 7-figure students or 6-figure students. That's already done. That is the system that you get when you get the blueprint and the mastermind. That's the system. But when you start changing the recipe, you're going to get different results. That's what happens. And unfortunately, I'm not there to sit next to each and every one of you and say, hey, don't do that. There's a reason that we've recommended what we've recommended, whether that be working with owner direct buildings, buildings directly owned by an owner, like we talked about earlier today, whether it means a particular television or remote control, whether it means a certain process for communication or tool that helps facilitate same said communication. All of those things are designed to make you, the individual entrepreneur, more efficient. So you don't have to be like what were the vacation rental managers of old who had to do that same thing, but with a whole bunch of people. You are the pipeline. And that's our goal. And that's what gets me excited, is finding more efficient ways to do what we desire to do at scale so that you can increase revenue without giving it to labor or regulate, something of that nature. Okay? So just know that that's where I'm coming from. All right? That's where I've always come from. That's where we will always come from at the end of the day. So hopefully that helps, because I really want I want everybody, I really want everybody to win at the end of the day. And winning, is different, but yet at the same time it's the same, because it takes an efficient operation to actually do that. If you like information like this, go ahead and hit that like button, because that tells YouTube that more entrepreneurs see us, and definitely hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that the next time we publish more quality content like this, you can be a part. Thanks.